Hey everyone, and welcome to episode number 42 of The Kickabout with me, Chris, and as always, Dan and Fran are with us.
Hello.
So we're a bit light on content tonight, guys, I'll be honest. There is still things to talk about, of course. We've got the England games, we've got the Euros coming up, but we've mixed in a few extra things tonight to talk about to make sure you lovely people have got some things to listen to. So, to start with, the YouTube channel that we announced last week is basically done. All of the videos are now uploaded, including the horrific, traumatising events that occurred after last week's recording. That video is up on YouTube, and it's just waiting for me to... anyone that's done YouTube before, put videos on there, knows that all the descriptions and captions and thumbnails takes a little bit of time. So we're hoping to get that all done tonight. Or
there is a fun bit in the video where Chris admits that he couldn't have done it live on air.
Yeah, because you said last week that we're not going to do it live on the recording because you may not be able to finish the show. You were quite correct. I would not have been able to. So, yes, we will announce that on our socials, but expect that to go live tomorrow. So if all you beautiful people out there could subscribe and like all the videos, that would be amazing. We are going to do the competition winner tonight. We had some more entries after a little bit of plugging over the last week, so it had the desired effect. So we will announce the winner of the JD gift card just after the break. And we're very giving on this show, aren't we? We're also doing the European Championship Fantasy League via The Sun. We've got about a dozen people in it, I think, so far. Okay. And we're doing a 50 quid for the winner of that. So again, do get involved in everything, all the details on our social media, all the codes for the leagues, etc. I think that's it. Have I missed anything, guys?
No,
No, good. Right, well, let's get on with the show then. Down the stat, man.
So obviously I had to go for an England stat this week.
Obviously.
Yeah. I don't know if this is an easy one or not. I feel like it is, but there weren't really any of them. They all seemed all quite easy, but I've gone for Jude Bellingham became the youngest player to start a game for England since who?
Okay, well, there's one obvious answer. I don't know if it's that player. But anyway, as usual, we will find out the answer to that later on. So let's start with the aforementioned England. So we've had two games over the last week or so. What's our overriding feeling from these two games going into, bearing in mind that the Euros are now, less than a week away?
Not confident.
It's been a bit disjointed, this preparation, hasn't it?
I thought they were the most pointless games ever.
I mean, I feel for Southgate in a way because obviously the number of his players that he would probably have been playing are not there. But then this is awfully close to the start of the Euro, so why aren't they there yet? But it does seem weird that he's playing. You mean for the
first game they weren't there?
I'm assuming so. You would think they'll be around for the second game. All the players that played in the European finals, in particular, the Chelsea and Man City players.
I understand not playing them against Austria because that was sort of
quite
a week after, wasn't it?
Why couldn't they have played the last game?
Well, yeah, I thought that it was going to be the Romania game would have been the warm up, and it'd have pretty much played as starting 11 for Croatia.
Well, there was the media was doing the rounds basically saying that Southgate was going to play a full strength team. Now, obviously, Southgate didn't get that memo because he chopped and changed again, and we're still seeing players playing who are not even in the squad for the Euros, not let alone fringe players who are probably going to be sitting on the bench for most of the championships. So it does feel we're in odd times, of course, with the season we've just had with the pandemic, but it does feel very strange, this build-up.
And they've not been great wins either, have they? A penalty.
Not very convincing.
A penalty, for Christ's sake.
But he said he knows 10 of his starting 11. So who do you reckon that 11th is that he hasn't made his mind up yet?
I'm hoping it will be left side striker. I don't think he's decided between Rashford or Sterling.
Yeah.
I think everywhere else, just about. It's interesting that he knows if that is the one. That means he knows who's playing right. Is that Sancho or is it Foden? Because you'd think it's one of those two.
Yeah.
Midfield 3. I mean, Grealish is probably got to be one of them.
Start, I think.
My guess it would be Grealish, Mount, and Rice.
Yeah,
that would be my guess.
I think there would be a national uproar if Grealish didn't start.
I think there'll be a national uproar if people like Mount don't play and Foden.
Yeah. The three of them, I think.
It's this team. The nearer we've got to this, and the way that the season's panned out, this team is almost picking itself now. Certainly in those areas of the pitch, maybe not defensively.
Defensive.
Do you think he'll go with back five though?
I really don't know. the fact that we'll talk about it now as well, the fact that he's called up Ben White to replace Trent Alexander-Arnold, much to the dismay of many England fans who were leaning towards James Ward-Prowse after an impressive display against Romania, and obviously a lot of people saying that Lingard was unlucky. It doesn't surprise me that he brought Ben White in. He's lost a defender. He obviously wants a number of defenders.
But then we are a bit shaky with the defenders we've got, aren't we? Like Harry Maguire's not fit.
I think I'd rather him play Ben White over Tyrone Mings, to be honest.
Yeah, Tyrone Mings was not good, was he?
I just don't rate him. He's an accident waiting to happen.
Some games he has been good.
No.
In the Prem.
It's ironic though. I would say
Look at me like that. No, that's your opinion.
As ironic as it is, I think I said this to you actually. I don't know if we said it on air last week, but I actually think Tyrone Mings played better last season when Villa very nearly got relegated than he has this year, which is a really odd thing to say. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh. I don't know. But he didn't look great. Rumour is, I'm still seeing rumours about Maguire not even being fit to take part in the championships, let alone the first game.
Yeah.
So you have to say, if that is a real question that's overhanging, why on earth is he in this damn squad?
Yeah. Well, the same as Henderson. He pulled out of the first game and he said he didn't want to start the second game.
I just don't get it. And frankly, what I saw from Henderson, take the penalty miss out of it, which was poor, and equally was his interview afterwards as well, but he didn't look up to it.
He's had, that's his first 45 minutes of football since March, isn't it? He's not going to be ready to go into a European Championship, is he?
No. And the dynamic definitely shifted when he brought on Rice and Bellingham. It felt like the game shifted a little bit more positively when those two came on. But I did think James Ward-Prowse played very well against Romania. But one area of the pitch that's still not exactly certain is right back, which is the most talked about position based on how many right backs he's taking, etc., etc. It was quite funny that somebody said that I saw it on social media somewhere. They said that the chat was about, we've got 4 right backs to take, that should be adequate cover. Actually, now I'm not sure it is because we've lost Trent. The jury for me is still out on Trippier as a defender, not as an attacking fullback. I know. Don't give me that look, Fran.
Team Trippier.
So, who would you if he goes for a 4? Who do you start at right back?
If it's a 4,
I go Reece James. If it's a 4,
probably Reece James.
But if it's a 5 at right, we'll be a right wing back.
I'd probably still go Reece James.
Yeah,
but I'd have Kyle Walker as the right centre back.
Yeah, likewise. I don't. In history tells us with Southgate's picks that he doesn't trust Walker as a right back in a 4.
No.
So I think that. Yeah, he'll play as a third centre back only. I can't see him playing in a 4. And then on the assumption that Maguire isn't around, who are the other 2 centre backs? One of them will be John Stones.
Walker,
Cody.
Yeah,
although
Cody,
Ben White played well.
Yeah.
I'll give him his due. He did play well.
And Cody was sort of quite poor towards the end of the season for Wolves.
We are lacking at centre back. I think that's the conclusion we can draw.
We used to have
here.
the likes of John Terry and Rio Ferdinand, and now we're looking at Ben White.
Yeah. We might have to do the Brazil attitude at this Euros and just score more than the other team.
Yeah, well, it doesn't look that way, does it?
The problem is Southgate lines up
we
with
get penalties.
A defensive team. We don't have a defensive team. We've got a very attacking team.
Yeah.
I would go all out attack.
No, I would do as well. One subject that has been particularly divisive over the last week or so in these international games is the booing of the taking the knee before the game. Now, we talked about off air whether or not we should approach this subject because obviously, as I say, it's a divisive one. It garners a lot of opinions, very strong opinions in many places, especially on social media. What do we think of this situation and the taking of the knee and the reaction that it's got from people like Southgate and 1 or 2 of the players? What's our thoughts on it?
I thought you had a little
Don't all
speech.
shout at once, guys.
Well, I thought you were going
Well,
to
you had
go...
a little speech prepared.
I don't have a speech prepared. Well, no, I agree with the message of it. I think, something definitely needs to be done. But I said to you, I think it's more about educating people rather than, holding up a poster type thing. And I feel like it's almost become a bit of an empty message now. And
especially that some of the players aren't even doing it now.
Well, we've seen Zaha has come out and said he doesn't want to do it. The QPR team, led by Les Ferdinand, who's heavily involved in the hierarchy, has basically said that it's not doing anything. And for me, that's the key thing. It's not the message that they're trying to put across that's the problem. And colouring everyone with the same brush by saying that if you boo, you're racist, I think is a very short-sighted way of looking at it. there will be a number of people out there who unfortunately are like that, and taking a knee and doing anything, frankly, is not going to change their mind if they're that way inclined. You're not going to change their mind, unfortunately. What you've got to do is drown them out. And the only way to do that, as you say, is with better education. But I just feel like we've been doing this now for 14 months, 15 months?
To me, it's almost become a little bit of like a publicity stunt rather than actually the message that it's supposed to be.
It's just come predictable now, like that. Like that's good and done. Everyone knows about it. Now we need the next thing.
Yeah, exactly. And the last time we talked about this earlier on in the season, we said the same thing then. It's like, right, well, you've gathered everyone's attention because it was a hot topic at the time, right or wrong, whatever you believe. Doesn't matter. It was a hot topic, and therefore the message that was coming out from the players was correct. It was unity and driving out discrimination, etc. Absolutely right. But the problem is, that's the start. That can't be the end as well. It has to build from there. And here we are again having the same conversation, saying, well, what else has happened? And if anything, if you ask me, I'd say that the racism has actually got worse because every weekend after the Premier League, you were seeing stories of Premier League players being racially abused on social media.
Yeah.
Whether it's just because it's now become more highlighted and it was going on anyway, I don't know.
Well, the sort of like Ian Wright and that, and Thierry Henry took a stand by coming off social media. I think stuff like that. I mean, I don't think they should have to be forced into coming off social media, but it sends more of a message than Ian Wright sending a video of himself going down on one knee.
No,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I do think social media companies absolutely have to do more because that is where a large portion of this racism and hate is coming from, because people think they can hide behind a keyboard and a screen, write whatever they want with fake profiles. They can make themselves reasonably untraceable by bouncing their IP addresses around off VPNs and whatnot, so they can make themselves difficult to find. But social media just seems to be taking such a almost blasé look the other way approach to it, which is really wrong. How many more examples, look at people like Caroline Flack that received huge amounts of online abuse and then ended up killing herself. How many is it going to take a footballer doing that? Is it going to take a high profile footballer killing themselves over this before something is really done? I guess it sounds
awful, but I'd hasten to say that it probably would take.
It's stupid, isn't it? I guess the point we're trying to make here is that we're not against this message, and we're definitely against people booing it. But at the same time, you have to understand that it's not just about these people booing it because they're racist. There's other reasons. There'll be people who don't like being told what to do, and people who, all colours matter, all lives matter rather, and all that kind of brigade that have a little bit of a narrow-minded view of it, and it is a bigger thing. But at the same time, the freedom of choice that allows the people to take the knee and do their thing has to be given the other way for those people to not agree with it and want to do their own thing.
I mean, even though we're kind of over it in the sense of like, not the message, but we need to do something else, I still wouldn't boo it. I think booing it is still disrespectful.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like, that's just a bit unnecessary.
But there are groups within football. Kick It Out, for example, has been around a long time. And for me, the message of sitting on one knee can continue, but something else has to go along with it. And if Kick It Out get a massive campaign going where they're going to go into, poorer communities, educate, blanket campaigns, doing different things, outreach programs, whatever it is, that is going to have way more of an impact and make more sensible and better change than what we're seeing right now. And if stuff is happening behind the scenes, then we need to know about it. It may well be that things are happening, but unless the public knows, then we're just going to keep getting the same examples. And I suspect that this is going to happen over and over again in the Euros, and it won't just be England fans either.
No.
So, but anyway, that's our take. Hopefully, we've avoided any trouble from that. But I think that's enough talk on that. Let's move on quickly then to talk about Sunday's game. We've talked in the past about how Southgate's a little bit of a defensive manager. Croatia, we've got history with them at the last World Cup, of course. Broke our hearts. How dare they? Will revenge be on the will revenge be on the cards or in the minds of the players?
Beat them in the Nations League straight after.
Oh yeah, well, Nations League's bigger than World Cup, isn't it? So
there's no reason why we shouldn't be beating them. To be honest, they lost to.
Look at our team.
But you look at theirs, like
is Modric and Rakitic? Are they both still playing?
They're like 50 years old.
No, but I don't know. This on paper, sound like I'm on Love Island. On paper, like. Our England squad is attacking wise insane, but for some reason they just don't get it together, and we just end up winning on like penalties. I think we'll be let down by
negative tactics.
You think so?
Rather than poor performances.
I have just got. The more I think about this whole negativity around the squad selection, the fact that we've got injuries lingering, I've just got this horrible feeling that we are going to like fall flat on our face in this Euros.
I think the young ones, the young ones will be 100% all over it.
I think it sounds strange, but I think we actually have to rely on them a little bit. Yeah. We need that sort of fearlessness that they'll bring because, people like Foden, he's had success at a major tournament with the England youth level. He won the World Cup with the 17s, I think it was, a few years ago.
Yeah.
Mason Mount just won the Champions League, so he's going to be...
So he's going to be buzzing. Sancho, first major tournament for him. Declan Rice.
Yeah.
Very passionate player. So we've got a lot of young, passionate players. So we're going to need them to drive the team forward.
Well, if we find ourselves behind, we've got plenty of options on the bench, attacking wise. If the likes of Sancho, Rashford, Sterling don't start, etc. Bringing them on, they would easily
walk into
any other nation.
Yeah, they can change a game.
For some reason, it just never really clicks. I feel like England at the moment just never clicks.
I just think it's the tactics, to be honest, especially with Southgate. Like, we did well to get to the World Cup semis, but you look at the teams we played, we didn't really play anybody.
No, and it's frustrating that that summer with the World Cup was absolutely amazing. Like the whole country was captivated. It actually united us for a small period of time, and we all loved it. But the problem is now is that the overriding feeling from that is the fact that we lost 3 times in that World Cup, and we came fourth, and we didn't really play anyone good. And when we did, we lost. We lost to Belgium twice and Croatia once. So until we play better teams and start beating them, I don't think you're going to get rid of this English kind of downbeat attitude about it.
That's the thing. If we win our group, we play one of the hardest sort of 3 teams in the competition with the likes of Germany, Portugal and France. Whereas if we finish second, we'd play the likes of sort of Sweden, Poland. So, it's almost exactly the same as the World Cup. But do we want to win it and beat the best teams, or do we want to finish second and try and get as far as possible?
But the thing is that only works for one round, because as soon as you get past that round of 16, you're back facing in theory, all the big teams, unless you get shocks along the way.
Well, I think it's split into sort of 2 halves, isn't it? So you can sort of plan your route.
So we were going to talk about this in a wider chat about the Euros, but I bet there's a thing on the Telegraph's website where you can basically predict how the leagues are going to form. So the way I've got it here is if England finish first, they are going to play either Portugal, France or Germany, or by some miracle, Hungary. My opinion is I think they'll end up playing Portugal. I think Portugal will come second in that group. I think Germany are going to come third and sneak through in the sort of one of the best placed third place teams.
Oh, you can go through finishing third?
Yeah, so 4 teams of the 6 teams that finish third, 4 of them will go through. Otherwise you end up with an odd number of teams in the next round. So on the assumption that happens, we have to play this in theory could be the route to the final. So it'll be Portugal, Spain, Holland, and then maybe France. If we come second, the way I've got it written and the way I've sort of in my mind how the leagues are going to play out, we play Poland, then France. So
at least we get to the quarterfinals.
We'll take a small win. So, but if you look at the teams, this round of 16, I've got Italy v Ukraine, Wales against Russia, Belgium, Germany, Holland, Czech Republic, Croatia, Poland, France against Switzerland, Spain, Austria, England, Portugal. Out of that lot, you would argue only Wales, maybe Austria and Switzerland are the weak teams there. Everybody else, maybe Ukraine.
Not Czech Republic?
Their record recently has been pretty good, so I don't think you should completely write them off. I don't think they'll get past Holland. Don't
do you
get me
think
wrong.
They'll finish third over Scotland then?
Yes, I think Scotland will come bottom of our group. I think they'll put on a great display. I think they'll be exciting to watch because they'll go for it. But I think they've got enough.
I guarantee they get a draw against.
Oh yeah, we won't beat them. That's a given. But all I mean is that you look at the caliber of those teams. You get to the quarterfinals and potentially you've got Poland, France, Germany, Italy, Holland, Russia, Spain, and Portugal.
To be fair, I would fancy us against Spain. But I wouldn't fancy us against Portugal.
Spain, Holland. The 3 big teams in this are going to be, in my opinion, Portugal, France, and I actually think Italy are the other dark horses. Their results recently have been incredible. They haven't lost for about 2 years or something stupid. So I think they're ones to look out for. France obviously are the runaway favourites. So if you're going down that let's try and keep it easy and to stay away from them, you probably do want to win the group and just hope that France don't come second in their group.
Yeah.
So it's but then there's always going to be shocks. I mean, we've still not even talked about Belgium. They've still got a great team. I know they might be missing De Bruyne, but they've still got a strong team, and they've not really performed on a big scale yet. But who knows? Maybe this year's their year.
And to be fair, I mean, I wouldn't even be super confident against a team like Poland. To be honest.
No, not if Lewandowski's
Are
in
you
the mood.
confident about us getting out of the group?
Oh, I think well, yeah. Now I know that three
Well, I
teams.
feel like
go
we've
through.
been quite negative about the
I think we always are, aren't we? We always hype it up loads, and then when it gets close, you're like, yeah, there's no chance. Especially
Yeah,
when
but
you
I
watch
think
us.
English people hype it up because they're like a reason to go to the pub in summer.
It is. I think it's a big event.
If we'd have
Obviously,
beaten Austria like 3-0 and Romania 5-0.
Is it the
then I'd be
Euros
quite
where we lost to
confident,
Iceland?
yes.
but- Yeah.
We were in Ibiza.
We were not going to talk about that tonight. Thanks, friend. We weren't going to bring that up. But yeah, I think we need a really positive performance against Croatia. Don't lose
Yeah.
for starters. Make sure you don't
Well,
lose.
that would be good. Yeah.
If we're positive in our game, if we draw 1-0, even 0-0, if we're really positive and go for it, I think that will be enough to say for the England fans to go, all right, well, we're going for it. We're not just going to sit back and try and play counter-attacking
Yeah, that's
football.
I'd like that game to have been the second or third game, to be honest, not the first one.
Who would you prefer to play first? Czech?
Czech Republic, yeah.
Yeah. Czech, Croatia, Scotland.
Yeah.
Oh, make it all come down to an England v Scotland
Yeah,
game.
that would be good.
So, right, well, let's just quickly talk then about our starting 11s. We did put it out on socials earlier. I think we probably did it a bit late in the day. But good old Pete came in at the 11th hour with his team. So what's Pete's
Well,
starting
he
11?
was lacking a bit, but he has sent it in the end. So he said Pickford, Shaw, Maguire (brackets Cody if he's not fit), Stones, Walker, Mount, Henderson, Foden, Grealish, Kane, Rashford.
So even back five.
So he's gone back five then. So say the defence again.
Okay, Shaw, Maguire (brackets Cody if he's not fit), Stones, Walker.
Oh, it's back
So
four.
back four, okay. And then midfield.
And then he's gone Mount, Henderson, Foden.
So no Rice.
And then he's-
Motherfucker.
And then he's gone Grealish, Kane, Rashford.
Mhm.
Grealish, Kane, Rashford. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think.
strong team. Mount
Yeah.
centre mid though. Interesting.
Well, I mean, he does play there for
Sorry, I
Chelsea.
didn't mean Mount. I meant Foden.
Foden, yeah. He's very versatile, Foden.
Mm.
I think he's better, though, playing in a more attacking, wider role.
So you'd have him where he's put Grealish potentially.
Well, by that,
I'll
it's...
do my own team.
by that, Pete, I'm assuming, is putting Grealish out on the right? Because you would play Rashford left, surely, of the three. Or is he putting Rashford out on the
Well,
right and
yeah,
Grealish on the
I mean,
left?
He's not. I mean, he's been very shabby.
Pick it up, Pete.
Either
Pick it up.
either.
So, okay, well, go on then, Dan. What's your starting 11?
I would probably go for Pickford in goal. I don't really trust him, but
Actually, we didn't touch on that, actually. Sam Johnson had a hell of a game.
he did, yeah. And he did one for West Brom, but I don't know, just the fact that he plays for West Brom, I'm a bit like... You got other keepers playing for like...
Yeah, but it
Barcelona
shouldn't be about that.
don't know. I'll stick with Pickford. Left back, I'd probably go for Shaw, but I'd be just as happy with Chilwell starting.
Mhm.
I'd probably just go for Shaw because I would have Rashford in my team as well. But centre backs, I'd have Maguire and Stones if they were fit, if Maguire's fit. Right back, probably Reece James. Two centre mids, I'd have Rice and Mount.
Mm-hmm.
And then sort of left wing Rashford, Cam, Grealish, right wing Foden, and then Kane up front.
Yeah, I think that's not far away. I think I'd also go Pickford, as much as he worries the shit out of me. I think he is the most reliable of all of the keepers that we've got. And he's got tournament experience, and he did, in fairness, play very well at the last World Cup. Right back, I'd go Reece James. Centre backs, again, same as you. I think they pick themselves. I think if it's not Maguire, I'd be tempted to throw Ben White in there. I thought he played quite well. I don't trust Cody or Mings enough to make them a definite over Ben White. But I suspect he will probably go with
Mings, I
Mings.
reckon.
Yeah, I suspect he'll go with Mings. Left back, the only thing I would say is that Shaw looked a bit vulnerable against Romania. Quite a few attacks came down his side, got caught out of position a few times. So I would probably go Chilwell But
Fair enough.
a bit like you, if
Yeah.
Shaw did start,
I wouldn't disagree
it wouldn't worry me
I
massively
think
if Shaw
they're
did
pretty
start.
equal. To be
Yeah.
fair. They've both done well.
I think personally, defensively, Chilwell is better than Shaw. Going forward, I think they've got different qualities. I think that Chilwell, as a general rule, whips in a better ball than Shaw, although Shaw can do it as well. But I think if you want a marauding left back, then it has to be Shaw. He's much
Shaw
better at
drives
that.
into the box.
Yeah, it really drives,
Yeah.
doesn't he? So, and then midfield, Rice and probably Mount, because I think you have to have him in your team, and I think that's probably the
Yeah.
only place you can put him.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you have to drop someone like Grealish out. So again, like you, I'd have. I would probably go. I might be tempted to go Foden at cam, and go Grealish left. I'm going to go Sancho on the right. He's not done it at a big tournament yet, but he finished the season really well with Dortmund. So I'm hoping that this is going to be his coming of age. And then Kane up front. But again, like you say, we have got a number of very strong options. So those players that play, they must know in the back of their minds if they don't perform, there are 3 or 4 players sat on that bench that can come in and quite, easily will slot into that team and do a better
I
job.
imagine he'll rotate that front line quite a bit throughout the group stage.
So that's what we would like to do. What do you think Southgate will do?
I think he'll go with back 5. Really negative. I think he'll go Pickford. I think he'll go. The 3 centre backs will be. Not Maguire, sorry. Stones, Mings, and.
Walker.
Yeah, Walker. I think wing back.
I think he'll go Shaw and.
Do you think he'll go Shaw? I think
Yeah.
he'll go Chilwell.
I don't know. As a wing back, I think he'll prefer Shaw.
Potentially.
And I think at the right side, I think he will go Trippier.
Yeah, I think he'll go Trippier.
Team Trippier.
And then the 3 in midfield, Rice. He'll probably pick Henderson just because they're like best mates. And Mount, I guess it's got to be.
Mhm.
And then Kane.
Is he going to drop Grealish for Sterling on the left side?
I
I
would
don't think he
not.
can.
I think that would be. He would create such a bad negative
Especially
press story.
How good Grealish was the last couple of games.
And he's fairly fresh because he hasn't played a lot of football in the last few months. So, and quite clearly he's not, he's not not unmatch fit. So, I would hope that he's going to go Grealish left,
Yeah.
and then Kane, and then who's your right side? Who do you think you'll go with? I actually don't think he'll go with Sancho.
I think he'll go Foden.
I think he'll go Foden as well.
Yeah.
So, right, there we go. Let's just very quickly touch on the wider picture of the Euros. Now, we've obviously touched on a little bit. We're talking about some of those teams. As we've said, favourites are definitely France, but who do you think are the ones that we should be keeping an eye on, maybe the dark horses of the tournament?
The dark horse.
England.
I mean, that's so dark you can't see them.
So I think you'll say Italy, but I wouldn't say Italy, to be honest. I just don't rate them at all. I think Belgium.
I find like every single major tournament for the last probably 8 years, we've said dark horse is Belgium, and they've really failed to live up to the hype in every
1 year,
tournament so far.
maybe it's their
This is
time
the
to
year.
shine.
I mean, in fairness, they did come third
Yeah.
in the last World Cup, so it's not like they were a million miles away.
And who did they lose to? France, wasn't it?
Yes, that's true. So
Who won it? So.
yeah, that's a fair shout. I mean, for me, I don't necessarily think they're such dark horses, but I do think that people need to be
Yeah.
wary of Portugal.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Maybe they're not dark horses because I think that everyone accepts that they are a great team, but I think that they are going to be more dangerous than I think people are giving them credit for. It's so easy to think of Portugal as just Ronaldo and nothing else, but they've got so much more to their squad now
Especially
than just
recently
Ronaldo.
now. I mean, you think about like Cancelo, Bruno Fernandes, João Felix.
Yeah,
They've got really good players.
yeah, they've still got Bernardo Silva. I know he's not had a great season, but he's still a great player.
Quaresma.
Charisma. Still, he must be getting a bus pass selling that bloke. Jesus Christ. I think I bought him on like Championship Manager 2002 or something.
I couldn't believe it when he was at the last Euros, let alone this.
Right, okay. Well, what we're also going to do, we decided at the last minute, like we did with the Premier League, we are going to do our predictions. So obviously we're not going to talk about them right now. We'll do them off air. But if anybody wants to play along, the categories are going to be winners, runners-up, golden boot, golden glove, which is number of clean sheets. Player of the tournament, whether we make our own decision on that or whether we go with the actual official pick. Depends who they pick. If we think it's bollocks, we'll choose our own. Surprise package in terms to which team we think is going to be the surprise package of the tournament. England's end result, in other words, where England's campaign finishes. England's best player. And then the team who scores, and then the team who concedes the most. And then last one, just for a bit of fun, something random that might happen in the...
A streaker on the pitch.
Well, we had one the other night, but apparently he was fully clothed, so he obviously doesn't understand how streaking works. So, yeah, just something random, just for a bit of fun, something random.
Landing on Ronaldo's face.
Yeah, or a bird shitting in someone's mouth like Ashley Young. So, yeah, if you want to get involved with those are the categories. I might put them on social media as well for people to get involved with. Write them down, and then we'll review them once the European Championships have finished. Right, okay, well, on that note, we are going to head to a break, and when we come back, we'll do the competition reveal. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the show. So we are going to now draw our competition winner. So we did a JD Sports gift card to the value of £30. We had a decent number of entries. I think we've had more entries to this in the end than we did in the first one, so not too shabby in the end. So we are going to draw the winner now. I've got people in the room who can confirm this. I've even got an independent adjudicator in the room in Annabelle. So we are going to draw one winner. And here we go. I'll push the button. Please don't be Joe Morton. Please don't be Joe Morton. It's Joe Morton. So Joe Morton has won the entry. To be fair, he did. So the way you do it is you have multiple ways of entering, which give you more entries into it. So if you do things like on Facebook, etc., you can earn more. So he probably had more attempts. There was, of course, the question that people had to answer, which was the largest stadium in the Premier League. There was one person who got it actually wrong. Somebody put Man City and not Old Trafford. So that put them out straight away. So, but anyway, thank you, everybody, for entering. And Joe, we will be in touch in the next day or two to sort out your prize. And you can go and buy yourself a nice new pair of sandals from JD Sports. I know he loves a pair of sandals. Right, okay. So as we are now beginning to get towards the realms of transfers and other bits and pieces, we are going to resume our transfer roundup segment. So Dan, talk us through what's been going on in the world of silly season.
So the first one is sort of like a transfer confirmation, which is Villa signing, I'm going to get it wrong, Buendia. So we've got a bit of an insider into all this. So Pete has been messaging me a lot.
God, that man needs to get out.
So he's been messaging me Pete. With like the inside. He is literally like a Sky Sports reporter. Yeah, he is Jeff Shreves for us. So he was messaging me with like the updates of who's bidding what and like who's looking likely. But to the point, this is actually a big signing for Villa. I'm kind of surprised that Norwich are letting him go.
To be fair, they actually beat Arsenal to his signature as well. Arsenal wanted him as well.
That says, I don't know what that says. Is that a bad indictment on Arsenal or a great indictment on Villa or both?
Bit both, yeah, isn't it?
But no, I actually said the same to Peter. I said I was quite surprised that Norwich let him go based on how well he did in the Premier League last time, how well he's done in the Championship. Pete was waxing lyrical about him when he was on the show a few weeks ago. I am surprised that they haven't thought about maybe keeping him for a season, unless, as Pete alludes to, Norwich were resigned to the fact that he was never going to stay long term, so cash in when his value's at his highest.
I think it's 33, potentially 38, so it's not bad.
It's not bad money.
Not bad money.
And for Villa, I highly doubt they're going to be pursuing Ross Barkley for a second loan, so he probably effectively becomes his replacement. I don't know whether you had it on the rumour mill or not, but apparently there's rumours that James Ward-Prowse is...
Yeah, I did see that, but at the same time, Southampton have come out and said that he's not for sale at any price.
Right, okay. I mean, that would be a hell of a signing, because I think that for Villa, I think we touched on this last week, the midfield is the area that I feel they need to strengthen the most. Defensively, I think they're reasonably good. Goalkeeper, obviously, centre backs, they look okay. They've got goals in Watkins and Grealish and El Ghazi, and now Buendia there to add to that assist and goals. I think central midfield is where they need to strengthen. So if they were to get James Ward-Prowse, and let's be honest, Southampton can say that all they like any other club.
It's funny though,
Every player's got their price.
What does that say about like a sort of club like Southampton, where Villa, 2 years ago they're in the Championship, nearly got relegated last year,
And now they're acting like a big club
now
trying
they're
to
in a
convince their
position where they
players.
can poach people
From smaller clubs.
that have been in the Premier League for a lot longer than them.
Yeah, no, it's and I said to Pete actually, I said, where are they getting their money from? Because you would think even if Southampton were open to selling him, you'd think he's going to be 30 or 40 mil at least, maybe even more. I don't know how. I can't remember off the top of my head how old he is or what his contract is like, but that's a decent sum of money for those two players. You're talking 70, 80, 90 million for two players
Maybe
for a team like Villa.
Some money coming from Grealish.
Well, it's even. I mean, Pete said that he thinks it's the last season of their parachute payments potentially, but I thought they stopped when you came back up to the Premier League, though.
You would have thought so, wouldn't you?
So unless they've still got some money left over, and there must be some financial muscle at board level, maybe some investment has come in or something. But no, fair play to them, Villa. Making the good signings, and maybe they can push up higher up the league this year. Maybe maintain a European push rather than fade away.
I
like
think
they
they'll
did
be
this
quite
year.
an interesting one to watch next year.
Yeah, I do as well.
One for you, Chris. I don't know if you knew about this one, but West Ham have reached an agreement with Chelsea for the signature of 19-year-old Pierre Ekwa.
Yeah, so I saw this. So there's a guy on Twitter called XWHU Employee. So yeah, I know. But he is the go-to man. So every club has probably got a Twitter person they go to for the inside information on what's going on, and he seems to be an extremely reliable source of information. So if he says it's happening, there's a good chance it is. And I saw this reported a few days ago about this. I think we have him on trial already, but I think there is personal terms are sorted. He wants to come, but I think there's a bit of hold up with the sort of compensation package for Chelsea. I'll be honest, I know absolutely nothing about him.
Chelsea paid just under 2 million for him, which is it's not obviously a lot of money compared to what Chelsea's standards, but for a sort of unknown youngster, 2 million is quite a lot.
Yeah, I don't even know what position he plays.
No, just a midfielder. I couldn't tell you. I'm assuming centre mid off of that, but
well, we do. I mean, we do need players, and we're going to need some squad players. So Moyes, in fairness, he always looks for youngsters at the moment. He's got this kind of model that he's looking at in terms of the players he's bringing in. So it fits that. Let's see how it works out.
Yeah, Arsenal are set to go head to head with United for Kieran Trippier.
That's a decision, actually, isn't it, for Kieran Trippier? Because on the one hand, well, it's not only that, but on the one hand, if he goes to Man United,
he's going to win semi-finals.
He's going to win big semi-finals, big runners-up trophies. But he's not guaranteed a first-team spot with Wan-Bissaka there.
No.
Whereas if he goes to Arsenal, you would say that. Hector Bellerin.
Yeah.
And he's not club captain, I know, but he's probably vice captain.
Yeah.
But I would say he's got more of a chance of being a regular at Arsenal than he does at United. But
would you want to
no
play
European
for
football for Arsenal.
No.
So
would you want to play for United?
And like I said, the Spurs ties, I don't know how loyal is to Spurs.
What if you went to Arsenal?
Yeah.
But this is the thing with Arsenal, though, isn't it? This is going to be in the conversation every single time now they try and buy a big name player. This guy has just won La Liga with Atletico. Does he want to now come back to England and play for a team that's not even in Europe?
Apparently he does. Because otherwise the rumours wouldn't be... I mean, there's been a lot of rumours with him being linked with England clubs. And, and they're by like Sky Sports. It's not like by The Sun. If I see something by The Sun, I wouldn't bother quoting it. But yeah, Sky Sports and stuff has said he wants to move back to England.
Though, isn't it? Arsenal United.
What, because it means you'd have to support Arsenal if he went there? Is that what you mean?
No, Arsenal and United.
He's like 32 years old. No, he's 30 years old now, so this will be his last sort of big move if he can get like a 2 or 3 year contract.
If those were your only two options, who would you do? What? If you took your allegiances out of the picture, if you were Trippier, if you were given the choice of no European football but far more regular football,
because you want to play,
or would you go to somewhere that you're going to be in the Champions League? You still play a lot of games because Man United are going to be competing on four fronts.
I think he could get into the United team because Wan-Bissaka, although great defensively, is very poor going forward.
Yeah.
Whereas Trippier
is a lot better going forward.
Do you think that's why Solskjaer is looking at this? Do you think, he thinks I've got Shaw one side, I need somebody on the other side to do
Wouldn't be a
similar.
bad team, to be fair.
No, I would quite happy if we signed him. So I mean, you look how well Shaw's done since we signed Telles.
Yeah.
He's been a completely different player. So if we had that effect on Wan-Bissaka or Trippier, if one improves the other, then perfect. Going to Arsenal, I just can't see them, unless they really spend this summer, which I don't think they're going to. I can't see them,
Climbing the
catching
way
up
back.
anytime soon.
No, they're in a. The scary thing is, I don't think the downward cycle for them is finished yet.
No.
Because I think there is a real chance that they're going to lose people like Aubameyang, maybe Lacazette, and unless they're going to have to completely change their strategy in terms of the players they go for, the way they approach the transfer market. They're going to have to rely on their youth team a lot. Obviously, they've got some great youth players, as we've said before. But they're almost going to need to have a freak season, a bit like West Ham have done, frankly. They're going to need to suddenly hit the ground running, go on a major run and get themselves back. Even if it's Europa League, that'll be enough.
Yeah.
But they need Europe to be able to get that. And if they don't, I can easily see Arsenal becoming a mid-table team for the next few years.
And their signings just don't seem to have worked out. That Pepe that they spent their sort of record on, he was better towards the end of the season. He started scoring some goals and probably was one of their better players. But 72 million, I don't think he's been the player they thought they were getting.
No, he's not. He's not giving them a return. I can't see Martin Odegaard staying.
No.
Obviously, he was only on loan anyway, but I don't think they'll
Ceballos
sign
has
him.
gone back.
Yeah, and I don't think he's done enough to warrant a keep. But then equally, as we said, they're not in a position to barter with these bigger players now. So maybe they have to look at players like Ceballos that might be happy to come back and try and push that club up again.
Yeah.
So,
I've got a couple more if you want to hear
Yep.
it. So this one I thought was quite interesting. So, Wijnaldum's been talked about pretty much all season about going to Barcelona.
Yep.
I don't know if you saw this, but PSG actually swooped in and offered him double the wages that Barcelona were offering. So he's now looking likely to go to PSG instead.
Who says money doesn't talk?
Yeah.
So, I'm a little bit surprised that Liverpool haven't put up more of a fight to try and keep him.
I don't know if I'm assuming he must have just said, I want a new challenge.
Yeah.
I'm off, because they just don't seem to be bothered at all. And he's only 30. I feel like he's got another couple of years left in him.
And he's been a big player for Liverpool. He's been a big game player for them. He was massive in the season they won the league and won the Champions League. So, yeah, it's an odd one. But obviously they've signed Thiago, who's just started to look like the player they wanted.
He's still adapting to English football, isn't he?
So I think next season he could have a really strong season in the Premier League next year, because he's clearly talented on the ball. He just needs to kind of get up to the pace and maybe play the way that Klopp wants him to play, in that sort of attacking mindset. So, yeah, if PSG get him, so much for financial fair play and all that, but money talks.
And lastly, Mourinho is reportedly set to raid Spurs and get Hugo Lloris.
Ooh.
If I was Spurs, I don't know how bothered I'd be about that, if I'm honest.
How old is Lloris now?
About 70.
I don't know if it said it.
Like James Milner's age, isn't he?
He didn't say.
Yeah, about 2
he's
years younger than
probably
Santa.
Sort of like 34 or so, isn't he?
Yeah, look, Lloris, is he club captain? Or is he vice captain? I can't remember if Kane's club captain or not.
I think Lloris is captain.
Lloris plays captain.
Look, he's been an amazing servant to Spurs. He's been involved in some of their better teams over the last sort of 7 or 8 years, or however long he's been there. But he has got mistakes in him, and he has proven at times to be a bit of a liability at times. And then he'll go on a run where he'll be consistent for a while, but then he'll have a couple of games where he'll have mares.
World Cup winning goalkeeper.
He is a World Cup winning goalkeeper. He's got a lot of experience. I should imagine he's very big in the dressing room in terms of his leadership. So it's a risk to lose him, but I don't think, put it this way, it's not going to hurt them as much as losing Kane will.
No, and if they were quick, they could get that Donnarumma on a free contract.
Yeah, but they need a manager first, which we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah.
So, right, well, that's just about rounds up the transfer rumour mill, but let's just talk about one or two other news stories. Man City have swept the awards this season. Pep Guardiola, manager of the season, Diaz with the player of the season, and Phil Foden with the young player of the season. What do we think about those awards? Do we agree? Do we think they're a bit easy, if you like, to give them the awards to the teams who won the league?
Yeah, I agree with those awards. One thing I saw the other day I saw that the team of the season, you had sort of quite a lot of defenders from City, and then you had Ederson as the goalkeeper, I believe.
Yeah.
And I saw someone saying that you can't have, the defenders and the goalkeeper from the same team. It's got to be one or the other, because if the goalkeeper has been the best goalkeeper in the league, then his defence has been letting him down. Whereas if the defence has been the best defence in the league, the goalkeeper shouldn't have had too much to do.
I see that side of the thinking, but I think that only really applies for worse teams, if that makes sense. If you're a top team, you've got the best players, effectively.
But
and if you look at what Ederson does when he's got the ball at his feet, some of the range of passing that he's had, and he's got the most clean sheets in the league, I think that's...
But
I understand the argument, but I think in this case it's too
saying
simplistic.
that he's got the most clean sheets in the league, that's also down to the defence. I mean, a team like with Diaz and I don't know, Van Dijk, etc., is going to do a lot better than a team with Johnny Evans at the back.
Yeah, I take your point, but I think that what Ederson...
I always find it hard to sort of judge a goalkeeper by their clean sheets, because a lot of it, they've got to break down the back four before they sort of score the goals.
True. And I guess you probably only realise that when you look at some of the statistics about the number of saves he's made and all that kind of stuff. But for me, to have a goalkeeper who's that good on the ball, who literally can smash the ball to the other end of the pitch, and he's got numerous assists this season. So who would you have gone with, if not Ederson? Martinez?
Probably Martinez, yeah, which I picked for when we did our team this season.
Yeah.
Because, if you go on stats, Sam Johnston saved more shots than any other goalkeeper in the league.
But back to your point, that's because his defence is shit.
The defence is weaker.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those, how do you judge it type things.
Yeah. I might be tempted to give it to Alisson just for that header. just for leaping like a salmon and sticking one in the top corner. What do you think of the manager of the season? Because I've seen a number of posts from people kind of along the same lines as saying, well, if you've got the best team in the league by a long distance, is winning the league that much of an achievement? Have you set the bar so high for yourself that you really need to have an unbelievable season to be in that bracket? Was that an easy award to give, or do you think let me rephrase it, is that the right award to give, or do you think they've done a bit of a cop out there?
It's tricky because he is a banging manager, but then
I would have given it to Tuchel.
I think he had to be close.
Tuchel, whatever you say his name.
Tuchel.
The fact that he came in halfway through the season, I don't know if that's what didn't get him the award, but he got Chelsea out of a sticky situation and got them into top four, which was what their target was in the end.
Yeah.
They won the Champions League. They got to the FA Cup's final. So, Guardiola, he was almost expected to win the Premier League. This is the thing, isn't it? This is almost the bare minimum
for him.
He was expected to win the Champions League, to be honest.
Yeah, and he failed. So it depends what they judge him on. If they're judging him just purely on domestic competitions, whether they take the European into account or not. But I agree. I also think that David Moyes might have got it if we'd have got Champions League.
Yeah.
I think the fact that we didn't get it, I think probably just took him out of the running. Despite the fact we've had an amazing season.
Yeah, I think if you had last minute gone into Europa League, it would have been a bit more desirable than the fact that you dropped out and went down.
It feels like an anti-climax rather than a climax. So I think that's probably what's done him in. But he must have still been in the conversation as well. I know he was up for the award. Young player of the season, I think Phil Foden. Most people would agree that's a good choice. Any others you can think of off the top of your head?
Fofana for Leicester, 20 years old.
I think Greenwood had a good end to the season. If he'd have had the start of the season like he did the end, then he would have been in there. Yeah, Bukayo Saka had a great season. I think Smith Rowe didn't do it consistent enough across the season, but I think he's again another great player for them in the future. So I think. Despite the fact I know that Dan Goodall, for example, is not a massive fan, I think he thinks he's a bit overhyped. Doesn't not rate him.
Who's that? Sorry,
Dan Goodall. Foden.
Oh right.
He doesn't not rate him. He just thinks that perhaps we're just going a bit too nuts on him. With these things you just seen today on the break, where apparently Phil Foden is the most valuable youngster in all of Europe.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an odd one.
I guess we'll see during this Euros, won't we?
Well, yeah. I mean, if he digs us out and plays like an absolute legend, then all of a sudden I think some of those comments go away. The manager merry-go-round has not really continued, has not really stopped, is it? It's still spinning quite nicely. Antonio Conte to Tottenham was off as quick as it was on, really. Rumour was apparently that he was concerned that Spurs were not ready to win a championship or any kind of title within a 2-year period. I think he wants short-term gains quite clearly. He's not interested in a 5-6 year project.
He's known for bringing in like experienced players as well, whereas Spurs like to build a team from scratch.
Yeah, and apparently his wage demands were quite high, but I suspect he's probably said that because look, you're not winning a trophy within the next 2 or 3 years, really. So if you want me to come, you've got to make it worth my while. So I think that if Conte had seen a team that was absolutely ready, maybe he's thinking if Kane goes, I'm really stuffed.
Yeah.
Then you've got to make it worth my while. So that's fallen through. So we're no closer to knowing who is going to be the next Spurs manager. And to be honest, that Conte link kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was. Well, I mean, everyone was just leaving their clubs at the same time, weren't they? It was just really, managers were just dropping like flies. And I found it strange that Santo was linked with the Crystal Palace job after leaving Wolves.
Yeah, it seems a bit of a sideways step, if anything, a slightly backwards
the
step.
The fact that Wolves have been in Europe the last couple of seasons, to go then to Crystal Palace.
Palace haven't been above 11th in the last 4 years.
Yeah, and Wolves have I can sort of see where they're going with their club, whereas Palace, I just feel like they're happy to be in the Premier League. So I don't know.
But I mean, on that point, actually, Palace, Wolves, relegated West Brom still haven't had any appointments done yet. Everton, of course, Ancelotti ditched Everton to go to Real Madrid. There was an amazing tweet I saw from somebody to say that he was obviously an Everton fan. He said, why on earth would Ancelotti go to Real Madrid? They're done. They got old players. They haven't got the squad they used to have. Why would he want to go back there? They're going to be years away from winning a title. He's going to stay with Everton and build something. We'll be in Europe within the next 2 years. And literally not 24 hours later, he's left for Real Madrid. So, but I mean, it does kind of feel a bit. I mean, I know when Real Madrid come knocking, it's difficult to say no, but it does kind of feel like Ancelotti's taken Everton.
He's copped out.
Yeah, he's taken from them a bit of a ride, I feel.
Yeah.
I think he's seen that it's a bigger job than he probably first thought.
Yeah. He's been there before, has he not?
What, Everton?
No,
Madrid. He's been there before.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, I think he thought the Everton job would be a bit easier than it has been.
Yeah. Spare a thought for James Rodriguez because he's clearly going to Real Madrid now. He loves.
Well, apparently he wants to take Richarlison with him as well.
Yeah, not good for Everton. Richarlison in a Real Madrid shirt, I'm not sure about that though. I mean, he's a good player. He's a Real Madrid player.
It's the problem with these players. It's like Koeman wanting to take all his Dutch players to Barcelona with him.
Yeah. So, I guess we'll find out. And then one note, Palace is one of the hotter managerial roles at the moment just because of the fact that Hodgson's left the club after 4 years. As you said, they're a bit of a midway club, putting it nicely. Lampard appears to have been the name that's most linked. Sean Dyche has been linked as well, but we understand. General understanding is that he's going to sign a new deal at Burnley and not leave. So is Lampard the right fit there, do you think?
I'd like to see him go there because I think I would like to see him in the Premier League again, have another go with a team that... Because I feel like Palace, although they always do flirt with relegation...
They're never really in massive danger of it, are they?
It's good experience for him.
Yeah, and I think if he could spend sort of 3 years or so there, getting used to sort of top level management.
Yeah, I mean the Premier League teams this week came out with a list of their retained players, basically letting everyone know which players have left at the end of their contracts or whatever. Crystal Palace have released 22 players, enough to literally fill 2 teams. And they've let them all go.
Some quite big names as well.
Well, yeah, I mean the list. So Gary Cahill, Nathaniel Klein, Scott Dan, Wayne Hennessy, James McCarthy, Mohamedou Sakho, Andros Townsend, Patrick Van Aanholt, and Joel Ward are the key names there. Every single one of them has been first team within the last year or two.
Pretty sure Van Aanholt was their left back.
Yeah, I think there was another player there. I can't remember what his name was. A youngster that's come in. That's
even I know some of those names.
Yeah, Townsend was in the team quite a lot.
Townsend was. McCarthy was. I mean, there was one point where they were desperate for him to come back.
Hennessy was their goalkeeper not so long ago.
So why have they got rid of so many?
I don't know.
Clear out while they're
one or two of them would have been on high wages, no doubt. People like Gary Cahill
would have been,
and he's obviously not getting any younger. I think that's a risk getting rid of him because he has been first choice, taken him out for a long time. But I guess when you lose that many regulars, whoever's coming in, I mean, it was a job anyway to come in and try and transform that team into something a bit more positive and a bit more ambitious. But now you've effectively got to rebuild the entire team.
They've got a lot of youngsters in the youth team.
Well. I guess the point I was getting towards was the fact that Lampard, when he was at Chelsea, had no choice but to go with youth. So he's got a history of looking at his academy, seeing what he's got and bringing some players through. If Palace want to go down that route, and they don't have historically huge amounts of money to spend, although their wage bill has just become, you know, they can adjust their budget and use some of the free wage bill to buy new players, etc. So I'm sure he will have money to spend. You know, this could be, as you say, a nice little project for Lampard, and I don't see him getting them relegated unless something catastrophically goes wrong. So this might be, as you say, a really good way for him to really cut his teeth in the Premier League and maybe one day go back to Chelsea. Yeah, it'll be interesting. The other notable names that were released on the list, Fernandinho from Man City leaves after a long time at the club. I don't know how many years it was. Do you see someone taking a stab at him, 36 years old? Do you think somebody might take a stab?
I think he would go somewhere.
Premier League or not?
I don't know. 36 is quite old, isn't it? Then again, Thiago Silva's gone to Chelsea at 36. So
Fernandinho's had a few injuries, niggling ones that's kept him out for small to medium periods, and he's not really had too many runs in the team. But when he has played for City, he's proven, even so at his age, that he's still got a lot to offer.
Problem is, I think the wage bill would probably put a lot of clubs off, because I can't imagine he'd be settling for anything under like 150 grand.
Yeah, I can see him potentially going abroad for a big payday.
Maybe like an Italian team, because they play a lot slower football.
Possibly. He might even... Would he think about MLS? Would he think about like a Abu Dhabi team, like what Xavi did and Iniesta? Or maybe even go back to... I don't know where he came from in Brazil, but you would think that he probably came from a South American team of some kind, so maybe he goes back to someone like Corinthians or someone like that. Andy Carroll, another name, still around, still earning money, still stealing a living off any club he's with.
If any club takes a punt on him, they're idiots.
I was going to say, I don't see him ending up in anywhere else other than the Championship.
I literally cannot think what manager would be like, get me Andy Carroll. It's just pointless.
Well, I wonder if Sam Allardyce gets a job, he might be all right.
Unless he did like what Wilshere did, where you pay him when he plays type thing.
I'd be amazed if Newcastle didn't take him on that basis anyway.
Yeah.
But I think he was. I don't think it was a case of that he was injured that much for Newcastle. I just don't think Bruce played him. He preferred Joelinton and of course Callum Wilson. And frankly, why wouldn't you? I don't see. It's a shame because when he was at West Ham, when he was in his peak, and when he was before that at Newcastle, he was superb.
Good.
So
he went to Liverpool, didn't he?
For big money. It was like 50 odd million or something like that. Ryan Bertrand, released from Southampton. Talks are that he's going to go to Leicester.
He played quite a bit for them, didn't he?
Yeah, it's quite strange from Southampton to Leicester. I mean, that's a better move, isn't it?
It may. I mean, to be honest, we're taking it on the approach that it's the clubs that have made decisions. It might be the players that are making these decisions. Yeah. If Bertrand's decided, I want to go and, if he knows there's interest from someone like Leicester.
At Palace.
It's a mass walkout. That would be a good move for Ryan Bertrand. He'll play for a better club with respect. And I think, I'm trying to think who the left back is. I mean, Castagna's, I don't think he's a left back though, is he?
I think he had been playing there because they've got that
James Justin. Yeah, Justin. But he's on a long-term injury, isn't he? Didn't he do his ACL?
Yeah, but they've got Pereira on the right as well.
Yeah. So, he's going to be competition for places, but he's a good backup to have, especially, unfortunately, not in the Champions League, but, they'll want deeper squads for the Europa. And then finally, from United's point of view, we talked about this before with the goalkeeper situation with Tom Heaton coming in. Sergio Romero has left the club, as has Joel Pereira.
He's also a goalkeeper.
Is he? Although Juan Mata and Lee Grant. Lee Grant's a goalie, isn't he?
Yeah.
Juan Mata and Lee Grant are in talks to remain at the club.
Juan.
I love Juan. He's a great guy.
Juan, he's a good guy.
Quite past.
That's a year's contract at best, isn't it? It's nothing more than that. So,
just for being a nice guy.
He is a nice guy, though, isn't he? Right. So, as we come towards the end of the show, it's been a shorter one tonight. I have got a little Euro quiz for you, Dan. So we haven't done a quiz for a little while. We're still working out what we're going to do with this. But I thought we'll do a little Euro-themed quiz for you, Dan. Test your knowledge. So, play along, listeners, as well. The last 5 winners of the European Championships, please, Dan.
God. What's that? What date's that going back to?
That will go back to 2000, I think.
2000.
Yeah, because it's every 4 years, isn't it? And we're a year late, so that takes it back to 2000.
Yeah, God. So, who won it last time? Was it Portugal?
Yep.
Spain?
Yep.
Greece?
Yes, although they weren't... If you're going in order...
Oh, that wasn't in order. I'm trying to think off the top of my Are they all different teams?
There's one that's won it twice.
I would say that would be Portugal.
No, that was Portugal's first ever European
was it
Championship win, I
really?
think.
Wow. Oh, Spain. No, yeah, Spain. Yeah,
Spain
yeah.
won it twice.
Yeah, and
In a row as well. That was the one that was in
Hmm.
missing order. So Portugal, Spain, Greece.
Germany.
Nope.
Really? Well, it wasn't us.
No, it was not us.
France.
Yeah,
Mm.
France. So that was your last 5. There have been 10 players who have scored 6 or more goals in the European Championships. How many of them can you name?
Oh, overall. 10.
Yeah.
As in out of every single one, or as in one championship?
Out of all of them they've played in. So some of them I think looking at the list here, some of them have played in like 3 or 4 championships.
Close, Miroslav.
No, actually, despite the fact that he's the top scorer in World Cup, he's not in the list. He's not even in the. I mean, I've only done the top 10. He's not even in the top 16. I think that's on this list I'm looking at.
Okay. It's got to be Ronaldo.
Yeah, he's second. He's got 9, or he's joint top with 9 actually.
Don't know. I don't think Mbappe would be old enough yet.
Nope.
No. Rooney.
Yes, he's got 6. Most of these are reasonably recent. There's 1 or 2 that are. There's one that's very old. You'll know the name, but it's quite old. And the rest are probably within the last. They're within the last 20 years, I think. So the teams we've just called out.
Yeah.
One of your fave pundits.
Pundits.
No.
Like Shearer.
Yeah. he's 3rd in the list. With 7.
Trying to think of like French and Torres.
No. He was lower in the list. He was about 13th in the list.
I would go with the France team though.
Yeah, there's 3 French players in here.
Benzema.
Nope. He hasn't played for the French team for a little while, so
I mean, I know
Giroud?
these names.
nope.
He plays like every tournament.
Another pundit.
Henri.
Yep.
Yeah. God, yeah, I'm not really thinking old enough, am I?
A very well-known French one.
Anelka.
Nope.
I wouldn't know that. Yeah.
He's midfield.
Current French striker.
Griezmann.
Yeah.
Really, he's scored that many.
He joined 3rd with 6.
Joined 3rd.
Well, I say joined 3rd. He's joined 3rd with about 7 other people with 6.
All right.
Sweden.
Zlatan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we doing this? Or are we just going to give away the clue?
Yeah, you have to give
Okay.
me countries, I think.
Got 2 Netherlands.
The Netherlands.
Nistelrooy.
Yep.
And Baston.
He was just outside this list. Not him.
Van Bommel.
No. But he was a defender, wasn't he?
I think he was a midfielder, wasn't he?
No.
I
Okay.
thought he was a CDM.
Either way, it's not him.
Well, it's a big fat no.
This particular player played for.
I don't
think he
know
played for
this
Newcastle briefly.
Oh God.
He's got a son that I think now plays for Roma.
Kluivert.
Yeah, Patrick
Yeah.
Kluivert. Yeah. So we've got all of them bar 2, I think now. So got 1 Portuguese striker, who was
Like Figo.
he's of that same era. I think maybe slightly more recent. Was never. Did he ever play in the Premier League? I don't think he did, but he was always one that was like touted as being a bit of a. They had no strikers basically. He was the best of a bad bunch, I think, at the time. I might be doing him a disservice here.
If you're listening.
More recent than Figo.
Yeah, more recent than Figo, but not
Portugal.
recent. Definitely recent.
Jesus, in your own time.
Yeah, I don't think I'll get that
No,
one.
okay. Well, Nuno Gomez.
No, I would not
No.
get that.
And the top one, think currently hierarchy at like UEFA. I think is he still the head honcho at UEFA? I can't remember for years.
France.
Is
Well,
it an old player, is it?
Yeah, this is the one old guy from the list.
Okay.
We're talking. So he only played. Oh, well, okay, Michel Platini.
Yeah, I wouldn't have got that.
Yeah, so incredibly.
Van Persie isn't on that list.
Nope. So I'll run through the list. So Platini was first. 9 goals. He only played 5 games. 1 tournament he played, and he's top of the list with 9. To put that in perspective, that's 1.8 goals per game. Ronaldo is second with 9, but he played 21 games.
Wow.
So, and with a 0.43. Ronaldo has actually, of all the people in this list, Ronaldo has the joint worst goal average.
Really?
Yeah.
He'll overtake, won't he? Oh, cool.
Ooh.
So potentially, yeah, if he scores one more, he will outright be the top scorer. Shearer was 7 from 9, and then we're into the 6s. So Griezmann, Nistelrooy, Kluivert, Rooney, Henry, Ibrahimovic, and Nuno Gomez. And then the ones that were just outside the list, we got Milicevic from Yugoslavia, Van Basten, Milan Baros, Jurgen Klinsmann, Fernando Torres, Mario Gomez, and Zinedine Zidane. So there we go. And then final question. 3 teams have won the championship on 2 or more occasions. Who are they?
Spain.
Yep, they've won it 3 times.
The Netherlands.
Nope, they've only won it once.
Italy.
Nope, they've only won it once as well.
France.
Yep, they've won it twice.
One more team.
One more team.
Who did I say?
You've said Netherlands, Spain, France, and Italy, I think, so far.
Portugal.
Nope, they've won it once.
Germany.
Yeah. So Germany and Spain have won it 3 times each, but Germany have also come runners up 3 times. They've been at the most finals. They've been in 6 finals.
Have England won the Euros?
Nope.
Never.
Never won the Euros. I can't see that changing this summer, if I'm being
Don't
honest.
think 2021 is going to be it.
So, and then Spain have been in 4 finals and won 3 of them. France have been in 3 finals and won 2 of them. So, in theory, if France live up to the billing this summer, they could become joint most winners with Germany and Spain. Right.
Great.
We just give them a lot of clues. Right. Okay. Well, to end the show, we are going to finish with this. Down the stat, man.
I wish we'd done like behind the scenes of you recording that.
I mean, I can do it again. You know, I'm not a one-trick pony. You should have seen the look that Annabelle gave me just when I played that the first time. She's like, "What the fuck is that?"
Jude Bellingham became the youngest player to start a game for England since who?
My guess was Theo.
Good guess, but no.
It's not. Oh, way to shit on my house there. Right. Rooney?
Mm-hmm.
It is Rooney, is it?
Any idea who it was against? I mean,
Are we talking big team here, or is it a nobody?
nah, it's a minnow.
San Marino?
Liechtenstein.
Liechtenstein. God.
Liechtenstein.
So, wow, there we go. So, plans going forward then. As we said before last week, we're only going to do the one show a week. We are going to try and do a live stream on YouTube as part of our new YouTube channel for the England-Scotland game, which is next Friday. So I've not entirely worked out how that's going to work out, but effectively it will be a case of watching along with us. We'll have the clock in one corner so that if people want to watch along at the same time, they can, pause the TV so that the time syncs up with ours. And yeah, see how it goes. But once the YouTube channel is launched, it'd be amazing if everyone can go on there and subscribe. I think that's about it. I don't think there's anything else. Don't forget the deadline of the Dream Team with the first game on Friday if you want to get involved and be in with a chance of winning that £50 top prize, only for the winner. We're not doing second, third, or anything like that. Then make sure your team is entered. Looking at you, Fran.
I will get on it.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for listening, everyone. And we will see you all again next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.